Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now so you never miss an episode. So in today's episode, I want to discuss when and why you should not use dating apps or dating sites if you're asexual. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt bad about yourself or had low self-esteem or felt really lonely and you think the solution is going on dating sites and dating apps, maybe that'll make you feel better or you can find someone and that'll help you feel better. If this is you, stay tuned. First of all, if you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book, which is out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Waterstones and Blackwells, and also Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which is an autobiographical account of how to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier like a superhero rock star, even if you don't have fibro. So that's an introduction to me. And yes, let's get on with the show. So, when should you not go on dating sites and dating apps if you're asexual? Well, this applies to if you're not asexual, in the main part as well. So obviously, if you're asexual and you are a person who doesn't experience sexual attraction, if you're a pure asexual, meaning you don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever, you have a disgust for sex, you're repulsed by sex. Does this mean you cannot go on dating sites or dating apps? No, it doesn't mean you can't go on dating sites or dating apps. You have to just be aware that the majority of people on a lot of the dating sites are heterosexuals. They're looking for sex, they're looking for a sexual relationship. This doesn't mean to say you shouldn't try, but you have to bear this in mind. And there are some sites that specifically for sex. So if there's certain dating sites that specifically are for like close encounters, like having sex, and you're a sex repulsed asexual, you wouldn't go on those dating sites because they're specifically saying they're for sex. Some of them are for adult hookups. Some of them even like have people going on there specifically to cheat on their partners, which I totally disagree with. I think it's disgusting that such sites exist. And so if you are not in favor of that, and if you hate sex and you know specifically the site you're on is saying it's for sex or pornography and you're not into that, do not go on these dating sites or dating apps because there's no frigging point. So it's good to look at reviews of different dating sites to get an idea of the type of person that's on there, the idea of how other people's experiences have been, and some you just need to try out for yourself and be bold and be brave enough to do it. But if you go back to my previous question, have you ever felt lonely? Have you ever felt like depressed and sad and insecure and all these type of things? And you think that going on dating sites or dating apps might be the answer. This, unfortunately, is not a good reason to go on a dating site or on a dating app. In fact, it's the worst reason ever. This is because you're going to be at your most vulnerable, your most insecure, and your most emotionally driven state. And it's not good to make any decisions when you're at your worst emotionally, when you're emotionally drained or you're emotionally lacking, when you're feeling hurt, in pain, and lonely, because this is the time when you're at your most vulnerable and you're more likely to either make rash decisions or bad decisions and choices. So when we go on dating sites and dating apps, we need to come from a place of our life is good at the moment, as good as it can be, but we would like someone else to complement our life, not to change us, not to fix us, not to make everything better for us, because we have to do that ourselves. If we're coming from a place of lack and of stress and distraught, and we're not looking after ourselves properly, and we're really depressed and we're not in a good state of mind, this is not a good time to be on dating sites or dating apps because you're likely to attract narcissistic people and abusers who prey on people like that, who realize that you have a lack of something and that want to take advantage of that like a vulture. So this is not a time to go on dating apps or dating sites. If you feel that you are really emotionally drained, really upset and in pain, and you're really struggling, it's better actually to spend time by yourself and to get to know yourself again and to actually reclaim your personal power. Because if you go on a dating site or dating app from a place of lack, someone's most likely to take advantage of you. So at the moment, I've decided to take a break from Facebook dating. The reason for that, again, yes, I'm on take a break, not deleted it, is because I had some recent emotional upset, which is fine. It's sorted out now. But in that state, I decided I wanted to take a break from it because it wasn't good for me to be in that emotional state of vulnerable and kind of more needy, if you like, of comforting, etc., and be on that app looking for someone. That's a wrong frame of mind to go on a dating site or dating app or be on there actively looking. The other big reason is I'd already decided, because I'm going to Disneyland Paris in just like 2 days now, it's the 4th, and you know, like, well, I'm going to London on the 6th and then Disneyland Paris on the 7th. So because I'm going away, I didn't want any open ends of dating scenarios with guys on Facebook dating. I don't want to be interrupted on Disneyland Paris trip. This is my trip. It's my belated birthday present to myself. My 21st mindset birthday. I'm going to be celebrating all over again. And I'm going to love every minute of it. And this holiday is just for me. I do not want to be interrupted by guys on dating sites that usually aren't the right guys for me anyway. They're just wasting my time, messing me around, just trying to chance their luck and just like, you know, not really that into me. They're only interested in their own interests. I don't believe every guy's like that. I think there are probably other dating sites that are better than Facebook dating, to be honest with you, out there. But I don't want to be interrupted because I want me time. I want to do the holiday for me without interruptions. Because last time I actually had a Pakistani guy who was friends with me years ago in 2017, and he was he was romantically interested in me. He was a younger guy and he was on Twitter, and I think he was my friend on Facebook for a while, or was connected to him somehow. And anyway, this guy I was texting while I was actually like, you know, like messaging on Twitter or Facebook, one of there or both, whilst I was in Disneyland Paris. And at the time it felt really good, but he was long distance and it clearly wasn't going anywhere. And it was a bit heartbreaking. And so I kind of relied on him to feel good, I guess, a bit, you know, like romance wise and stuff like that. When actually I don't need that anymore, because I don't want a guy who's temporarily in my life giving me romantic notions and stuff. And in the end, he wasn't very nice. Because in the end, he was like, he knew I was asexual, and then in the end, he was laughing about the fact I didn't have sex, and he wrote this thing on Twitter about me, which wasn't very nice. This is going back in 2017, and it's like, and then he sent me a private message going, "Oh, I've got a girlfriend now. What have you got?" As much to say, because I don't have sex, that's why I haven't got a boyfriend. And it was really nasty. And I do not want a repeat of any guy coming and interrupting me while I'm on my holiday. My holiday is just for me. It's to enjoy. I'll be doing live streams as well, but it's for me. You know, it's because it's my holiday. I'm going on my own. I'm treating myself for my birthday. I'm going to have the most amazing romantic time with myself. And I'm putting myself first. I don't want to be bothered with any guys. I don't need that in my life. I've got my Disneyland Paris trip. I got my career ahead of me. And I don't want to be bothered by a guy. I don't want that time taken away to spoil something that's special, you know, for me. Disneyland Paris is very special, and I don't want a guy interrupting that. And so, you know, this is why I'm not I'm taking a break from Facebook dating. So this is a really good time if you want to have time out for yourself, to do something for yourself, to actually have a break from dating sites and dating apps, because you don't want that to be distracting you. Maybe you've got an exam coming up, maybe you've got this career thing going on, and again, you want to focus on your career. Obviously, if you're already in the middle of a relationship, this is a bit different, but I'm talking about if you're on dating sites, dating apps, and you know, and you're not really getting anywhere on them, then don't do it for a while. You know, you should not do it in a stress state, you should not do it from a place of lack, and you should not do it from a place of loneliness or boredom. I saw a lot of people on Facebook dating. They were like, "I'm bored." It's like, you're bored, then go and find something to do with your life. Stop being bored. You know, someone's not a play toy. right? You don't want to be using someone because you're bored. This is not a basis for a healthy, sustainable relationship. It's quite selfish if all you're doing is going to find someone because you're bored. Same as if you're lonely. If you're lonely, loneliness does stem from the fact that we do need connection as human beings. That's a fact. And whilst lonely isn't bad per se, because everyone, or not everyone, but the majority of people probably go through it at some point in life, if you are just coming into dating from a place of loneliness, that is all about yourself. It's all about what the other person is going to be able to do for you. And it's not going to be coming from a place of love, joy, and happiness and trying to be your best for someone else, right? You're going to be coming from a place of lack and neediness rather than from a place of, I really would like to find someone to complement my life and make me feel better. If you're feeling lonely, I suggest that you try to make more friends online, that you try to go out to meetups and try and make some friends through that, that you get in touch with yourself a lot more and your hobbies and interests, and you plow your time and energies into that, and that you become more of a unlonely person before you go into dating. Because if you date while you're lonely, you're likely to accept anyone, and this means people treating you badly and people not giving you the respect you need or your time you need or your effort you need, because you've got everything to lose because you're so lonely and upset and in pain in that way. And if they're not like that in their life, then, you're just an accessory to them. You're not actually, if they're not a good person, you're more likely to attract bad or wrong people for you if you go on dating sites and dating apps from a sense of loneliness. If you're a type of person at the moment so depressed that you can't look after yourself at all, you can't wash yourself, you can't really feed yourself, you can't look after yourself properly, you need to sort those things out first before you think about getting into a relationship with someone else. Because otherwise, you're going to attract someone else that's like that as well. And whilst that may be good in the sense you might relate to each other, it's not really going to help you advance yourself and help you to become more self-reliant and self-independent. You're going to become very codependent on each other. And when you're codependent on each other, that's when the relationship becomes very unhealthy, and you're dependent on each other, which means if one person treats the other person badly, you'll probably accept it because you haven't got any other options. You'll feel that way, right? And you'll feel no one else can like you the way you are and this type of thing. And that's the danger of, if you're a person that's really depressed and you can't look after yourself, if you attract that type of person, do you know what I mean? You'll think you can't do any better, right? Whereas really you need to be focusing on yourself, self-improvement, and gaining the skills and confidence to be able to look after yourself, to be able to get out of bed in the morning, to be able to dress, to be able to wash, to be able to look after yourself. If you're on dating sites, someone wants to see the fact that you're well groomed, you can brush your hair, you can clean your teeth, you can actually have decent clothes, clean clothes. They want to see that type of thing because they want to know that they're getting into a relationship with a partner who respects themselves, who loves themselves, who cares about their well-being, who can take care of themselves. Because if you can't take care of yourself in a relationship, that's going to cause problems because the person's going to feel like they either have to take care of you, or they're going to not treat you well because they're going to see you not treating yourself well if they're not a good person. And like I said, you're more likely to attract a person who's not good for you if this is the way your life is. So your life doesn't have to be perfect for someone to come along and for the right person to come along. You don't have to have every single bit of your shit together. You can still be working through things, but if you're not working on yourself, if you're not improving yourself, if you haven't got the basics right, doesn't bode well for a good foundation of a healthy relationship. It just doesn't. And and there's some people who just want travel buddy, right? Is that really what you want? You have to ask yourself the implications of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a travel buddy, is it gonna be just a travel buddy, or is that person gonna fall in love with you? Or is that person gonna be wanting more than that? And, like, how is that gonna work with your job? How is that gonna work with your family life? How is that gonna work with your lifestyle? You shouldn't just go on a dating site to get a travel buddy unless you have it already planned out that you really want to go traveling and you want someone else to assist you, and you've worked out how much time you can take off work, or if you have to give up work to do it, what countries you want to go to, and like, and what type of qualities you need in the person you're gonna have a travel buddy with. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've got to really think about what you want. You shouldn't go on a dating site not knowing what the hell you want. Because if you don't know what you want, you're going to get all the garbage come in into your peripheral vision. You're going to get all the rubbish coming. You're going to get what you don't want, as well as what you don't know you do want, right? And if you're not specific about what you want, then you're just going to be a confused mess when someone comes along, and that you're going to be thinking, is this person right for me or not right for me? Because you haven't got a foundation of the things that you need in a person. So before you go on a dating site or dating app, work out on a piece of paper, like, what would your ideal type of person be like? Like, what would they look like? How would they think? How would they act? How would they behave? What type of job would they have? What type of personal qualities would they have? Would they need empathy, kindness, generosity, consideration? Would you want them to be a family person? Would you want them to want to have a family? You have to be very specific. If you're just going on a dating app or dating site, you don't know what the hell you want, that's not really going to attract the right person. It's going to attract just anyone and everyone. Like, some people are on dating apps and like, I don't care what you look like. I don't care about your age. Basically, they just want someone. So they want someone for the sake of it, like a toy or something, to make them feel better. This is not the time you should be going on dating apps or dating sites if you're in that headspace, right? So if you are on a dating site or dating app and you're not in a good place in your mind, if it's temporary, okay, you could just have a few days off from it. But if it's an ongoing thing, then you need to stop that or not go on it in the first place, because nothing good is going to come from that. Right? It doesn't mean to say we gave up and we never try, but it means to say we've got to get ourselves right in the mind and life as much as possible first. If you're all over the place, you're going to end up attracting people that are all over the place. Amount of people going, I don't know what I really want. If someone doesn't know what they really want, they ain't going to really want me, because they know what the frigging hell they want. They're not going to say, that's the person I've been looking for because she fits my description. They're going to be like, oh, she's interesting. I get guys that just waste my time. They're like interested in me because I'm an interesting person. But it's not like they want something real with me. I'm a fantasy for them rather than a reality for some of these guys, because they like the idea of me because they know I'm a bubbly, attractive girl. And I'm intriguing because I am so friggin' different. But I know that it's going to take a very certain type of person to actually want to be in relationship with me, because I come from a place of very unconventionality. And so I would always encourage you that if you are going on dating apps and dating sites, to come from a place of positivity about yourself, but also be realistic about yourself, about the type of person that will want to be with you as well. But have an idea of the type of person that you want. Do not go blindly into dating sites and dating apps, right? And don't do it when you're bored. Do it because you really want to find a relationship. You shouldn't do something when your heart's not in it. I have some people in my dating groups, asexual dating groups, and they're like, "Oh, I don't even want to date." I'm thinking, why are you even in my dating groups then if you don't want to date? But they came into the group, some of them saying they wanted to date, knowing it's a dating group. If you don't want to date, why be in a dating group? Go in a friends group instead. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't think that it's worth putting time, energy, and effort into a relationship, and you're not prepared to work at it, don't bother going on dating sites or dating apps. To find an actual genuine relationship and connection takes time, persistency, consistency, work. Since when has anything that you want in your life not contained working for it? If you want to change your life, you have to work for it. You can't just have everything come easy to you. It doesn't work like that in life. You don't change in life and grow. You stagnate and die inside if all you do is do the same thing. If you've got bad results of dating before, doesn't mean to say you're a bad person, but you might be missing some things. You might need to change some things about yourself, not because someone else told you to, but because you realize, hang on a minute, I am doing something wrong here. So I need to learn more relationship skills. I need to learn more dating skills. I need to know what I want more in my life. I need to be more caring towards myself and compassionate and stronger in myself, right? In dating, you're going to get rejected. You're going to have to understand that if you want to find someone for a relationship, you want to go on dating sites and dating apps, the rejection is part of the course. You're going to get rejected. It's like going for a job interview. You're not going to get every single job you want. Being in a relationship with someone or even having a date with someone is still a job role. Think of it like being in an interview for a job role. Think about it like going for a job. Sometimes you go for a job and like, oh, shite. What's gone on here? This is a wrong job for me. I know totally. I just don't feel like I fit in here. I feel really weird. What am I doing? Right? You have to get out of it. And then with some jobs, you just don't get them. Some jobs you get through to one stage, but you don't get through to another stage, right, of the interview. So if you think about dating, you might get through to a first date, but then they decide you're not the right candidate for them, or they're not the right candidate for you. And so you have to move on. You have to understand rejection is part of the course. And the way to get comfortable with rejection is keep being rejected. The more you're rejected, the less you give a shit about it. You're like, okay, you reject me. I'm used to that. Off, next one. You know what I mean? I've been rejected a lot, but does it hurt at the time? Yes, it can hurt at the time, but I get over it. And the more I do that, the more resilient I am, the stronger I come back. The more I'm like, I might shed a lot of tears. I might be in so much pain at the time, but I come back stronger. I recover quicker, usually, overall, even if it was really painful at the time, because I do get attached. But you have to work on yourself in order to understand your weaknesses and your strengths as well. So don't go blindly onto a dating site and dating app without being committed to actually follow through with the whole purpose of being on there. If you're just on there to window shop and you're not really looking for anything meaningful, then why waste your friggin' time? There's more important things you can be doing in life, right? I'm not saying it's not good to go on a dating app to actually look what's around, but if that's all you're doing it for, it's pretty pointless. So always have a plan of action when you're going on a dating site. Be strategic about it, or a dating app. Don't just bumble along into it and then think, what the hell am I doing? You need to have a system and a structure in place. Like with anything in life, you have to have a way of doing things, and you need to be able to do it in a way that's to your advantage, not to your disadvantage. Also, if you find you're getting really addicted to dating apps and dating sites, then it's important to take a break from them and cut off from them for a while, because it can be very addictive. Right? Social media is very addictive because of the dopamine hit it gives you. And this is very true of dating apps or dating sites. We love it when we get a little message in our inbox and it's like, oh, ding ding. This is kind of natural for us to feel like that, right? Because it's dopamine, it's chemicals reacting with our body chemicals, and it's going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And, it's nice when you get a message, especially if it's from someone you like. Someone you don't like, it's a horrible message, and you're like, oh. But if it's someone you like, you're like, oh my God, they messaged me back. It's wonderful. It might make your day. But when it becomes addictive, when you become reliant on that type of thing for your happiness and for your cha-ching and for your dopamine hit, then you know that you've got a problem and you really need to stop it. Even if it's only for a while, it could be 1 month, 2 months, 10 months. I gave Facebook dating a long break before I went back on it, because I was just like, knew that I was getting a bit addicted to it. And I was at a place in my life where I'd had some heartbreak and pain in dating. And I'm like, I can't do this at the moment. It's just not good or healthy for me. So if you've had a relationship breakup, I would advise not to go straight away onto a dating app or dating site. Give yourself a bit of a breathing space to heal, to think, to reflect. One of the things people do say is, oh, in order to get over someone, get out there, put yourself back on the market and go and go and date again. And that can be a good strategy in the sense it can help you forget the person that you've just dated, but you're likely to get the wrong person again, someone who's going to hurt you, because you're not coming from a place of positivity. You're coming from a place more of desperation, neediness, and upset and pain. And so it's not advisable to do that straight away. You need to give yourself a break, and allow yourself to be calmer again and to trust yourself more again and to love you again. And so, just monitor how it's going, monitor how much time you spend on the dating app, monitor, is it 10 minutes? Is it half an hour? Is it an hour? Or is it getting to be 3, 4 hours? Do you know what I mean? Is it kind of like you're in the morning and you're looking at the dating app, you're in the afternoon looking at the dating app? When I'm on Facebook dating, I do look at the app quite a lot. Like I'm saying, I'm on take a break again now because I've got my holiday. Don't want to be distracted by guys on there. And I just feel I need a break again because I've got better things to be doing with my life. And I feel I need to just relax into myself a bit more and have peace within myself more and rely on myself more. Also, I think it's really important if you've got more healing to do, if you've got past trauma, to try and address that first before going on dating apps or dating sites, or at least be working on that whilst you're on the dating sites or dating apps. Don't just think everything's going to be fine and when you get the right person. Life doesn't work like that. If you've not sorted your own shit out, you're just going to take that to a relationship and you're going to have problems in it a lot more. And when you are in a relationship, it brings about all your problems, your issues, your vulnerabilities, your traumas. It brings them up because you get very close and vulnerable with that person, and there could be repeat patterns from your childhood, for example. Some of them may mean that the person isn't any good for you, that you've just gotten a reflection of what you had in childhood, and you've attracted the same type of person that didn't treat you well, for example. And so this is a danger if you haven't worked on your past childhood trauma issues, right? But you could also attract some person like you've just had if you've been in a bad relationship or you've had someone leave you because they're familiar, the feeling's familiar, you could attract the same person again. So it's better in these scenarios to work on yourself first, or at least be working on yourself while you're on these dating sites and dating apps. Get a therapist, get a counselor, or at least look at free videos on YouTube and blog posts and things like that, articles written by hopefully professionals like psychiatrists, psychotherapists, um, people who specialize in their field. There's a person who's on YouTube and he's really good at childhood trauma stuff. And so that's been very effective for me watching that channel. His stuff's free. He does have a monthly membership. Which is a group. I'm not really so much into group stuff, online in that way when it's your own personal stuff. But he's very interesting and he's really good at what he says and does. So that's been quite effective. But I just learn a lot about myself through being consciously aware of myself, analyzing situations, and also, like learning stuff as well. I mean, obviously I've had therapy and counseling in the past, quite a long time ago, and I had some therapy for a work-related issue last year, at the beginning of last year, year before. So, um, yeah, but it's good to get therapy. Therapy is good because it helps to change your mental state to eventually more positive one. It helps you to work through difficulties and stuff. Because like I said, when you're in a relationship, when you're so close to that person, you're gonna end up having triggers probably. And some of it could be a sign that yes, you shouldn't be with this person because they're not good for you. Or some of it could just be things that are popping up because you've had like issues in the past when really this person is still a good person. It's just you're getting triggered by things. So it's really good to try and sort this out before you get into a relationship, before you go on dating sites, before you go on dating apps. But you haven't got to be perfect. Your life hasn't got to be fully fixed. Some people never ever recover from their childhood trauma. And that is sad, but it's true. I've actually come across a YouTube channel where another guy was a psychiatrist, or I think he was a psychiatrist or psychologist, and he does a channel, and he has like trauma from his past, and he gave up his job because he said they were just teaching him to basically give people pills as the answer, and that isn't the answer because you need to get to the root cause of the problem of why you need the pills in the first place and drag the roots out. You need to get through to the traumas, through to difficulties, and fix those issues then you don't need the pills. But if you're just handed pills, I'm not saying pills don't work for people, but if you're just handed pills and you're not solving the root cause of the problem, you'll still have the problem there, despite taking medication. And so this guy who's on YouTube, this particular guy who quit his job, he isn't recovered from his trauma and he admits it, and years later. So, and he has the tools to help himself because he used to do that line of work to help others. So it's very interesting. So you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be fully healed or anything like that. But if you're in a really bad way, I would highly recommend that you get help first, at least help yourself somewhat, because you want to attract a good person for you, not from not be attracting someone from a place of lack where you're going to get abusive people, people trying to take advantage of you, people who are using you and stuff. You don't want to be in that bad place, and don't think that everyone's innocent, right? Like, I come across some asexuals who are like, oh, he asked me for nude photographs. Should I give them to him? Like, no, do not give nude photographs to anyone. That's not a good thing. None of my heterosexual exes ever asked me for nude photographs. And I was in 2 long-term relationships in the past. They wouldn't have ever suggested that to me, right? And you never give someone stuff like that. They don't need it. It's not love. They're just you can use it to blackmail you with and put you on the internet, It's really horrible because I didn't realize till recently that someone had put a picture of someone else in my inbox on the 20th of March. But I only found out in like the last week. And it was really bad. Someone on my friends list who's got a disability, I found them in a disabled dating group, actually, but we haven't messaged for ages. They took a picture of him. They'd clearly been asking him for like naked pictures, and they took a picture of his anatomy and copied me in, like, didn't copy me, put me into a group with these. I didn't even know who these 2 women are, but this is how sick things get. There was these 2 women who put me into a group with this guy, Facebook chat group, and then post a picture. I didn't even recognize what it was. I had to ask a friend because apparently it was his anatomy, but it just, the way the angle of the photograph was, it didn't look like that. And I don't go around looking at stuff like that usually, but I didn't know what it was. I'm like, why have they put this? Like, and I was really shocked because I don't know these 2 women. I only know of the guy and he's in a wheelchair. And so it was quite sick. And then the women was going, oh, how much money are you going to give me for this? Or I'll ruin your life. And then they posted something else about another profile of someone on his friends list. I don't even know how they knew that I was on his friends list. Or he was on mine, because I have my friends on private. So I don't really know unless they found me on his friends list, but my friends are private. So it's just really weird. And it was totally out of the blue and unexpected. But you know what I mean? This is blackmail. You don't want to be doing stuff like this. No one needs to give anyone nudes for someone to love you and to care about you and like you. If they want nudes, tell them to go and take a hike and F off. There was this guy on asexuality.org years ago. An asexual guy, apparently, he came in my inbox and said he couldn't date me or be in a relationship unless I gave him nude photographs. And I'm like, no, so we're not suitable. It's like, I don't even know this guy. It's like, why would you ask for that? You haven't got good intentions for the person if you ask that. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. You just need to move on from these shitty people. You know what I mean? You don't need these people in life. There's thousands of people out there, right, who may be 1% of the population, right? A recorded 1% asexuals, but you have to come from an abundance mindset. There are thousands of people out there in the world. This includes people who are celibate, who don't have sex, because they choose not to, rather than asexuals who, like, don't experience sexual attraction naturally. Celibates and asexuals don't force themselves not to have sex and are restraining themselves. Celibates, however, do push themselves not to have sex and to remain sex-free as a conscious decision, but they're going against their sexual urges. Asexuals are not doing that. But celibates, who don't have sex, there's celibates in the world. There's people who can't have sex due to disabilities. There's people who can't have sex due to impotency. They might not be asexual, these people, but at the end of the day, there's still people that don't have sex besides asexuals in the world. This means we still have options. to date or get into a relationship with someone who doesn't want sex if we don't want it. There are some rare instances where some sexuals will not have sex because they'd rather be with the person than have sex. They would give up having sex with anyone else. It's quite rare in my experience, but there are people out there like this. And there are thousands of people. You don't need to have people blackmailing you and treating you like shit in order to feel loved and special, because it's much better to be on your own and to be happy and content with yourself and to work on yourself if you don't feel that way than it is to get someone who's going to blackmail you, treat you like dirt, just be using you, which is what these type of people are doing. You don't need that hassle in your life. You don't need it. It's better to be single forever. I will be single forever if I do not meet the right guy for me, because I will not be with the wrong guy ever again and stay in a relationship with the wrong guy. I just can't do it. It's a waste of my life. I'd rather be young, free, single, out there, having a good time, living my career, taking care of myself. I have relationship anxiety anyway. So being in a relationship is hugely anxiety inducing for me anyway, and even dating can be. So, actually it's good to give myself a break from that. But you need to, and relationship anxiety can be a difficult one because it might be something you have to work on with a therapist or counselor, but it might actually be your intuition or your gut instinct or your senses telling you actually this person isn't right for you and you're just not listening to yourself. I'm hold my hand up. I do sometimes get anxiety induced and I'm thinking, oh, is this my anxiety? But actually usually it's because the guy isn't the right guy for me, because I know instinctively something's up, but I don't want to believe it because I like the romance too much. And again, this goes back to chemicals. Chemicals can get very addictive. Just like people can experience sexual attraction who are sexuals, we can experience other forms of attraction that are just as powerful. Like I can experience romantic attraction and aesthetic attraction that is just so damn powerful. Like takes over me sometimes. It's like, what the hell's going on? Like it takes over my senses, as in if I was looking at it from a logical, sensible point of view, I'd be like, this guy is completely no good for you, Sandra. Like, what the hell are you doing? And sometimes I still think that, and I still go ahead anyway, because I'll be like, well, romance and aesthetic attraction is so strong for me with some guys, not with all guys, but with some guys. It's like so overpowering. It's like, I just really need to kiss this guy right now. And that's hard. But it's really important that if you do go on dating sites and dating apps, you're very self aware and self conscious of who you are and what your weaknesses are, like that, so that you can prepare yourself for these eventualities. I have to know that I do have a strong sense of romantic and aesthetic attraction with some guys that does take over me. And I have to be careful about what I do about that. Do I act on it? Do I not act on it? Especially if this guy isn't a good guy, I shouldn't really be acting on it. Doesn't mean to say I don't sometimes, right? But I have to deal with the consequences then. If I'm going to do that, it's at my own risk and my own expense, right? And so it can be really difficult. But I'm not perfect. I do have some things that need to be improved on, and we're all a work in progress. And when you're self-aware, when you're aware of some of the issues and problems you have, and you are working through them or trying to deal with them, and the more you are aware of them, the more better your life is going to be improved, because at least you're going to have an awareness of your own behavior, the better it is to go in with that type of mindset and attitude rather than being oblivious to yourself. Like if you are attracting people who use you all the time, you've got to ask yourself, like, what is it within you that's not right, that's going wrong? Why are you allowing these people to use you? Like, for example, some people I know get used for their money, and they say, well, this person wanted money, I gave it to them. That's your responsibility. You need to learn to say no. You've got to work on your self-confidence in saying no. You've got to work on being assertive and saying no. This is a confidence and assertive issue within yourself, right? So if people take advantage of you, ask you for money, you gave them that money. You allowed them to do that to you, with you. So you then have to work on yourself about putting no in place, about being able to say no. Just like it's important to say no to sex, especially if you're an asexual who's sex repulsed. And especially because a lot of the dating sites and dating apps are full of people wanting sex. If you cannot say no to having sex and you know you're going to be taken advantage of and you know you can't, you're going to give in to pressure like that, you don't put yourself in that position. You don't go on dating apps and dating sites. It's as simple as that. If you can't say no, I can say no, and I do say no. And I say up front, I'm not interested in it, right? And if a guy can't take me serious on that, then I have to leave his life. There's a lot of people on dating sites and dating apps that don't take asexual seriously. They think it's some sort of joke, or I get asked, is this a social experiment? It's like, no. It's like, is this a social experiment, or do you genuinely want to find someone? It's like, I genuinely do want to find the right guy for me. But I'm very upfront about the fact I am all over social media. It's got to be a guy that can hack that can be fine with it, that can be happy to be seen with me on social media. I'm only going to get more and more famous on social media. If a guy can't hack that, then I'm not interested in him. He doesn't have to be all over social media like me. And in fact, I'm quite happy for him not to be. But at the end of the day, I still need to, I'm not going to hide him from this channel. I'm not going to hide him from my life, right? I'm a very public girl, and that's the way I like to be. And, it'd be nice because some of my friends come on here occasionally. You've seen Sammy lately when we've been at the aquarium and the zoo. I've still got more footage to post from that. And so that's my best friend, one of my best friends. They come on my channel sometimes, occasionally. Right? I don't want to be hiding a person who's a boyfriend, but if he doesn't deserve to be in my life and be my boyfriend, then he don't deserve to be on my channel anyway. Right? And so, I'm very outward about who I am. I'm very authentic. I don't bullshit. And so, like on Facebook dating, which I am taking a break from, but it's got my Instagram on there, which is all about asexuality because I want the guys to know that this is my life. If you don't accept it, lump it. Some of them don't even look at my bio. It's disgusting. On dating apps and dating sites and Facebook dating, I said to a guy once, you know, a few weeks ago, did you read my bio? No. It's like, bye. You know what I mean? I can't be bothered with those type of guys anymore. Like the other day, I had a guy, and I said, "Did you read my bio?" And he's like, "Yeah," but I'm just curious because it's like, "Oh, is it asexual that makes you not want being asexual that makes you not want sex or kids?" And I said both, but I was in a hurry at the time. I didn't want kids since I've been 15. I didn't know I was asexual at the time. But it's like, I just don't want kids anyway. If he's already asking me about kids and it's in my bio, I don't want kids, that would imply he does want kids. I've at the moment I've deleted all the people that were in my inbox on Facebook dating. And one time I had 3 of them I was talking to, but all of them just stopped really talking to me because they want sex, really. They're not interested in maintaining a connection without the sex, so I don't bother with them. That's how you find out if someone's genuine or not. If they cannot be bothered to persistently and consistently talk to you because really they want sex and they think it's not going anywhere unless they get sex, or they're not going to be very talkative to you. I'm not going to do all the running around. I'm not going to do all the talking with the guys. I can have a guy in my inbox that I could keep him stimulated and talking to me by asking him loads of questions all the time. But that means he's not interested in me. It means it's just me interested in him. I'm not doing that anymore. So at the end of the day, if there's not a guy that can take the initiative to ask me questions and keep the conversation going, I don't bother with them anymore. Even though I could, because there's no point. I don't want a relationship in real life, offline, where the guy is like just not asking me any questions, not having an actual flowing conversation, not taking the initiative. I don't want that. And if that's all he's like in the dating app, he's likely going to be like that in person. And if you get anyone on dating apps that's going, oh, I can't be bothered to write about myself. I can't be bothered because I'm lazy. That just tells you everything about them. They're going to be lazy in the relationship. They're not going to put any work in. They can't even frigging write a tiny little bio. It's like, well, they're not going to put the time, energy, and effort in to a relationship and be good for you, right? Not a healthy person, not someone who's going to put work in. Relationships take work. They're never going to be perfect. You're never going to get someone who's a perfect person for you. So you're going to have to work through the tough times together and celebrate the good times. But you have to nourish a relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship. You can't expect it to just go along and carry on and not nourish it, not communicate with it, not, like it's like a plant that needs to be watered and nourished. And if you decide to not water that plant anymore and just let it fend for itself, eventually it'll wither and die. This is how a relationship is. Right. And before you know it, it'll be like, what the hell went on? Like 1 minute I thought we were happy together, the next minute, like this has happened. right? People sometimes walk away too quickly. Sometimes people put up with shit for years and never walk away for until it's really painful and it completely screwed them over, right? So you have to be very consciously aware of yourself, consciously aware of what you're doing in life. If you can't be bothered to write a bio on a dating site or dating app, don't bother with them. Because dating sites and dating apps are going to take your time up if you're serious. You're going to be searching for different people. You're going to be checking out their bios. You're going to be seeing what common interests they've got with you. You're going to be reading their profiles. You're going to be dedicating some time to dating and relationship sites. Because if you're serious, then that's what you're going to be doing. Because why wouldn't you? Like if you're studying for an exam for like a degree, you put time, energy, and effort into it because there's something you really want to achieve and get. It's the same with a relationship. You have to put time, energy, and effort into it. But, like some qualifications in life, you need to actually continue having an update, like a new certificate, because things are changing all the time. That's like in a relationship. You have to update the the status of the relationship, the certificate of the relationship. You have to keep working on the next level. So you might have an IT qualification, got level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before you know it, it's out of date level 5, and you've got to start all over again because things move on quickly. And a relationship, things can change and adapt and move forward quickly. And so you've got to be able to get that qualification, and you've got to be able to keep qualifying yourself by keep nourishing the relationship, keep abreast of how it's going, discuss like how are you feeling in the relationship? How are you feeling with the dating scenario? How do you think it's going? Like get feedback from each other, right? But if you're the type of person that's in a really bad frame of mind, you're not up for putting time, energy, and effort in, you can barely look after yourself, you're running on low, empty energy, you haven't really got much time to do anything, going on dating apps and dating sites is not the right thing for you to do, right? You need to work on yourself, work on your own life, work on your own time. And if you're a type of person that would rather spend time on your own than actually be with a person, don't go on dating sites or dating apps. Right? You shouldn't come from a place of resentment towards someone. Oh, you're taking my time up on a dating app or dating site. Don't go on them. I'm shocked that some people have this attitude that, oh, this dating sites and dating apps are going to take my time up. Yet they still sometimes go on them. They're like, but I don't want to put work in for a relationship. I don't want to put time in to talk to someone. I don't want people in my inbox. If you don't want people in your frigging inbox, don't do dating relationships online. Don't use dating sites. Don't use websites. Don't use dating apps because it requires you to be in a frigging inbox and to talk to people and to communicate with them. And the only way you're going to get better and improve in that is by damn well doing it. Right? And having a conversation with people. But if you're the type of person, I don't want people in my inbox. I get people in my dating groups like, oh, I don't want people in my inbox. It's like, well, what the hell do you frigging think you do when you start a conversation? Yes, you can start a conversation in a group, but some people don't want to talk in groups. They want to talk to you privately because they don't like talking in front of people about their personal stuff, about their hobbies and interests. They don't want people knowing. They want to talk privately. I personally am a public person, but there's still some things I talk to people about in private, and when you're talking about dating relationships, there is privacy things you need to talk about, and so you can start off in a group by having commonalities and thinking, oh, we're having some common interests. Maybe it'd be good to have a chat to that person in private. But if you don't want people in your inbox and you're averse to it, why the hell do you want to do online dating and relationships? Like online dating sites, online dating apps, just forget it. Go and meet someone in a meetup group. And if you think you have something wrong with you, maybe you're right, maybe you do and you need to work on yourself, or maybe you don't and you're just attracting the wrong people. But if you're attracting the wrong people, it means there's something wrong with what you're doing, so it is something you still need to fix, right? Because maybe it's just that you're letting people into your life that are actually really bad people. You're enabling bad behavior, right? So sometimes we get into bad relationships, and we might get into bad relationships because we've had a bad relationship in the past. We've got low self-esteem. We haven't got confidence in ourselves. And someone comes along and makes us feel good in a certain way. And we take that and we want that to last forever because we need that feeling. And they kind of feed us that. But eventually they turn the tables and they're horrible to you and they use you. And, and you enable them to do that, right? You see the fact that they're using you, you see the fact they're being nasty to you, belittling you, and you keep being in a relationship with them, you keep dating them. This is called being an enabler. So it's not your fault you got into the relationship or the dating scenario per se, because you might not have known what they were like. They weren't showing their true colors, but it is your responsibility if you stay in that scenario because you're enabling it. You're enabling the bad behavior, right? You should be blocking people like this. You shouldn't be enabling the bad behavior. You shouldn't be allowing people who are abusive to have access to you. Right? Would you allow someone who is waving a knife to come into your home and you just be, here's a door. Keep it open anytime you want to come in with a knife, feel free. Of course you wouldn't. If if you had someone who's verbally abusing you, but you had the option to close the door on them for good or keep it open and just let them come back into your life whenever you please, which would you do? Right? If you care about yourself, you'd lock the door. You wouldn't leave it open for anyone to come and do that to you, because that's enabling bad behavior. It's allowing someone to come and do that again to you. It's just saying, I don't value my worth. That person's more important. And therefore, I'm still going to allow them access to me because I care about them more than I do myself. Right? You need to be blocking these types of people out. There's very few people I date that I actually ever keep in my life, right? There's one guy, well, there's a couple of guys, non-asexual guys, that one I was friends with him on Facebook, now he's completely disappeared out of my life, which is fine. And there's another guy that I dated for a while. He's got a wife, and I'm really pleased for him now. And I dated him back in 2014, I think it was. And he actually did break my heart for a while. But I'm fine about him now. But we don't usually talk. He's friends with me on Facebook. And he used to work in a place where I used to eat like Nando's. And I thought, I've got to go into Nando's still because it's my favorite place to eat. And so I had to overcome the fact that I dated him and he broke my heart. And I became, I don't know if I was still friends with him on Facebook after I dated them or what. It's quite unusual for me. But anyway, I decided to just be brave and I had to overcome that situation. I was fine. I'm good with that person. That person's cool with me now. And we're cool with each other. He's married now to a person who's good for him. I'm happy for him. Everything's good. But there's not that many people that I still stay friends with. But he wasn't abusive to me. He just wanted sex and I didn't want it and said that we weren't suitable really. So and he wasn't, the reason he broke my heart is because he wasn't very attentive, and it was obviously partly because he wanted sex and I didn't, and at the time he was quite intense with me, and but he wasn't emotionally giving me what I needed and stuff like that. So, but he wasn't abusive or anything like that. So that's good. So there are a few people. There's a couple of asexual guys that I had online dates with. I think they're still on my Facebook friends list, but they haven't talked to me for ages, so I don't even know if they're on there. I've got so many Facebook friends, I don't even know who's on it and who's not some of the time anymore. So yeah. But if I've got abusers in my life, I don't allow them access to me. I'll block them on multiple forms of social media because I'm not interested in being around those people. And so you've got to ask yourself, like, if you keep coming up against abusive people, like like if you're a certain type of personality, a lot you might always attract the abusers and narcissists. If you're empathetic, for example, if you're sympathetic, they target these type of people. So you could always be a target. And you'll always be able to attract people who aren't good, just like you can attract people that are good, because like the law of averages suggests that you're going to have some proportion of people that are no good for you come into your inbox, right? But if you enable that and allow them to treat you like that, then it's a problem with you because you're allowing them to continue to do that and have access to you, right? So you need to realize that's a problem with you, is the fact you're continuing to allow that behavior. And so there has to be a point when you understand that you've got to work on your self-esteem, you've got to work on your ability to say no, to walk away and close the door, and to be disciplined in it. It takes a lot of discipline and willpower, but you need to gain these type of attributes, right? Because like relationships are going to test you anyway, dating is going to test you anyway. And so you need to be prepared for these tests and challenges. And instead of thinking, oh, I always have bad people come into my life, I always have bad relationships or bad dates, that's fine if that's the case. Not fine as in it's good, but fine to recognize that. But you also need to ask yourself, like, what can I do better to ensure I get less of these types of people coming in my life and that I'm not enabling that bad behavior and that I'm putting safeguards in place for my own safety and protection. And I'm really, like putting up a force field around me, Some people have got it in their head that they should never block people. This is totally insane, right? It's like, why would you not block people? Because, like I've said, why would you enable someone to have access to you if they're no good for you, if they're abusive or doing disgusting stuff or been abusive in the past? Why give them that privilege? You need to have yourself in high regard. I've got a long block list on Facebook, huge block list. So if you're the type of person that's allowing yourself to continually be vulnerable, to get into bad relationships and you stay in them for prolonged periods of time, then again, dating sites and dating apps are not right for you until you've fixed some of these issues so that you're not in this position anymore. Otherwise, you're just going to keep attracting the same people who have the same problems taking advantage of you. And you're not going to recognize them. You need to be able to recognize people who are narcissists and abusers. I've done videos about this. So don't go on to dating sites and dating apps without realizing what the signs are of abusers and narcissists and scammers as well. Go and watch the videos. Go and search my videos, my specific videos on this channel. Go to the section, the videos, the search bar on my specific channel, and go and look for like videos about narcissists and abusers, and scammers. Go and look them up. Go and do your research first so that you are equipped with the information, knowledge, and know-how that if these types of people are on these dating sites and dating apps, that you're going to know how to react and what to do, which is usually get them out of your inbox as soon as possible and block them, right? Deactivate the conversation in Facebook, but you can block them as well. It's advised to block them if they're being abusive, obviously. And so, just get these people out of your life. You don't need them. But have an abundance mindset. Don't think that you've got to accept the first person that comes along and shows you some attention. There's thousands of people out there in the world. And just to do dating, if you don't, before you get into a serious relationship, there are 1,000 people that like dating. So you've got even more options if you want to date than get into a relationship. Because a lot of people, they just want to date these days, but not actually have something serious. Again, you've got to be aware of this because if you're the type of person that does want something serious, you've got to know that a lot of people don't. And some people lie. They go, oh, I'm asexual too. They're not really asexual. They haven't even heard of asexuality before. They're just lying. Don't take everything at face value that someone says. Listen to what they say. Does their actions match their words? Have they even read your bio? I mean, I got someone the other day that said they wanted to start a family. I specifically say in my bio, I do not want kids or to get married. Start a family means have kids. So he clearly didn't even read my bio. This wasn't Facebook dating. It just makes me so frustrated and annoyed. Right? And if you're doing your part to express yourself correctly, be authentic, and people aren't listening to you, then you just have to like delete these people, because they just aren't worth your time. If they're not listening to you now, they're never going to listen to you. If they can't even be bothered to read your bio, what does that say? It says they're no good for you. They're not going to take you seriously. All they care about is themselves and their own selfish means for getting into a relationship or dating because they have no regard for you and they're completely ignorant to you if they can't even read your bio. Don't waste your time on these people. If something they say in their message indicates they haven't read your bio, then you know what I mean, don't bother with them. And so when you go into dating apps and dating sites, you have to go in from a place of positivity, of being consciously aware of your own flaws, your own faults, things that have happened in the past so that you can improve. You need to also know exactly what you want, have a rough idea at least, like the type of person you want, the qualities you want in them, not just what they look like, but the qualities like empathy, sensitivity, sympathy, how they would deal with certain situations. And like, do you want the qualities where they're kind to animals, for example? Do you want, are you a submissive person or a dominant person? Like some people actually put in their profile dominant. I am not a submissive girl. I do not want to be with a dominant guy, you know? And so you've got to be aware of yourself. Like, are you a submissive person or are you a dominant person? But even if you're a submissive person, you still need to be able to be strong, put boundaries in place, be assertive, right? You need to be able to say no and state your own mind and state your own wishes in a constructive, healthy way. So you have work to do on yourself before you go on dating sites, before you go on dating apps, as well as working on yourself while you're on them. But unless you're ready for that, unless you're ready for dating or relationships, then don't bother going on them. Prepare yourself first. The more preparation you do, the more likely you are to succeed on them. And, try different dating sites, different dating apps. And when something isn't working and you keep trying it, then come off it and start somewhere else. Go on another dating site, another dating app. Try something different. Meet up with people in person. Do something different, excuse me. I hope you've had some valuable insight, help and advice in this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks to those of you who've been watching tonight. You've been amazing, or whenever you're watching this on replay. If you've got any comments, queries, or questions, please leave them down below. Love to know what you think. Don't forget to share this video if someone needs to hear this information right now. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never ever miss a live stream or episode like this one. I'll see you in the next video live stream. Lots of love. Take care of you. I appreciate you always. Bye-bye. Bye.